KSI is fighting Dillon Danis. Who saw this coming? I mean, my immediate reaction is just, what's going on? Like, obviously, we've been waiting for quite a long time to see, like, who is JJ gonna fight? And there's been names that have been branded about. So there's Amir Khan rumours. There were Conor McGregor rumours. Obviously, at one point, there was Wayne Bridge. There was, obviously, Darren Till, who's recently just stepped into this world and made his debut as well. I don't think I've seen anybody say maybe it would be Dillon Danis. But I think it makes a lot of sense. So let me caveat this. So for those of you who don't know, Dillon Danis is obviously he's a mixed martial arts guy who actually specializes in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So that's where he's a black belt, and that's kind of where his start came. He's a Pan-American champion. He's won a load of stuff when it comes to that, and really his moment in the sun came when he became a sparring partner and a training partner for Conor McGregor. That's where his kind of notoriety and his fame came from. And then I guess most relevant for us, because, you know, he hasn't fought in the UFC for a long time, he fought against Logan Paul on the Prime card. And in the run up to that, Dillon was incessant about going after Logan's missus, Nina Agdal, and just saying some horrible things about her and her sexual history. We're just going to say that and we're going to leave it there. But every time Dillon opened his mouth, it went viral. Every time Dillon sent a tweet, it went viral. And the star power was definitely there from that perspective. So his actual performance in the fight was awful. It was horrific. I was expecting way better. For somebody who spent all of their life doing martial arts and being in the fight game of some sort, I expected Dillon to be way, way better than he was. I was super disappointed in this performance. And it was just a bit of a joke, to be honest with you. I thought he was terrible. Like, he's a big guy, powerful guy, well-conditioned, and I thought he would at least put up a fight, but he completely melted, if I'm being honest with you. And I would say that to him. I'd be like, Dillon, what happened? Why did you melt, bro? Like, that was awful. So I know if you watch the Reels and Wills podcast, which is Leon Wills and Vidal, they were obviously talking about KSI needing to step up and he needed to be an underdog, and that was the way to get the killer back out of him. And JJ's always best with his back against the wall. And I know already when they see this, they're going to go mad and they're going to be like, what is this? What is this team doing? Why would you let him fight somebody like this? Like, this is an obvious KSI win in my opinion. And I think it will be in a lot of people's opinions. And if you are tracking them as KSI versus Jake Paul, again, you're looking at this and you're being like, Jake Paul at least sounds like he might want to step up in competition when he's not fighting old age pensioners. This is just completely a no-no. And JJ was being ridiculed by wanting to fight Wayne Bridge, and people weren't happy with that. Wayne Bridge at least can box to some degree. From what Dillon Danis has shown us, he hasn't got a boxing bone in his body. But on the flip side of this, I think in the long run, this actually could be a really good thing if you are a Misfits fan and you're a KSI fan. And the reason why I say that is because KSI wants to be active this year. He wants to fight 3 times this year. And he wants really big fights. And even if you go and talk to pound for pound great fighters, or you go and talk to people at the top of the boxing world, they will all tell you that ring rust is a real thing. They will all tell you that you need to be active, because when you're not being active and you're not staying in the ring, it has a detrimental effect on your performance. So as a result of that, I'm looking at this as he needed a fairly easy fight to come back. He's been out of the ring since the Prime card. He hasn't had a fight since he lost to Tommy Fury. And that was a hard loss to take. I was there in the arena that night and I felt like it was at least a draw, if not a JJ win. I couldn't see how Tommy won it. But that's going to be quite shattering. And so JJ's got to pull himself back up from that and start rebuilding on the road to being what he wants to be, which is better than Jake Paul and the number 1 in our scene. And so if he's going to fight 3 times this year, he can't just dive in against an Amir Khan. Like, that's a tough fight. He can't just dive in against a Darren Till. We saw what Darren Till did. Darren Till made Anthony Taylor look like an absolute scrub and a bum. And we know Anthony Taylor is not an absolute scrub. He went X amount of rounds with Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury couldn't put him away. He was in there with Idris Virgo, who was a 14-0 pro. Idris didn't make him look like that. Darren Till was a completely different level to the level that even like that we're at as influencer boxers. Like, he's on a different plane. So you can't just jump into a fight like that. So I think actually fighting Dillon Danis is going to allow KSI the ability to, all of the stuff that he's done in the gym, all the stuff that he's been working on, the tactical changes, the technical changes, he can go into this fight and he can use some of that. Do you know what I mean? You also have to remember that the Joe Fournier knockout got overturned because obviously there was connection with the elbow, and then there's a loss to Tommy. He hasn't won in a long time either. He hasn't had that feeling that he got when he fought Temper in a long time. So he needs to be able to get that back. And also, it's a business. So he needs to be able to sell. He needs people to be interested. There has to be intrigue. And I'll tell you what, whilst Dillon Danis might be a melt in a boxing ring and he may not throw his hands properly, the man can trash talk with the best of them. Now, depending on your respect levels and how you see things, you might say Dillon goes too far. There's a real legitimate argument to say that with the Nina stuff, he went too far. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there is still an ongoing court case at this moment in time whereby Nina and Logan have sued Dillon for everything that they have said. And it really doesn't surprise me, because if that was my missus, listen, yeah, it's a lot. Do you know what I mean? But 6 weeks of a press run and a build-up between KSI and Dillon Danis, we are going to have quotables, memes, and funniness to feed us for months. People are going to care about it. People are going to watch and tune into it. And Dillon is the ultimate villain, and a lot of people are going to want to see KSI knock him spark out. And so there is a value in that. It is something that people will care about. For the purest boxing fans who are critiquing our scene as, what is this? What are they doing? It's a circus. Yes, to them, they're going to be like, look, see, I told you so. But if you're an influencer boxing fan, if you're a crossover boxing fan, if you love the circus, if you're here because KSI is a Sidemen member and does funny stuff and not because he wants to be a WBC world champion, then it's a fight that ultimately is going to entertain you. And the whole card, like the whole build up, the press conference, the weigh-in, it has the potential to be absolutely hilarious. And that's why Dillon has been brought back in. So overall, my initial reaction to the fight, I think it's a good move. I think it's a solid business decision, and it builds towards bigger and better things to the back end of this year. I think it should be a comfortable win for JJ, and he should be able to show out and fight in the way that he wants to. And for Dillon Danis, who's nowhere near the UFC and apparently is nowhere near Bellator, he gets another big payday and another big moment in the sun. And he loves being in the sun. Like, he loves the limelight, he loves the attention, and he gets some more of that as well. And as Logan and KSI are business partners, maybe KSI gets to put a beating on Dillon that Logan didn't get the chance to because it all descended into chaos. So, wow, I want to see what Leon has to say about this, because that's going to be interesting. I want to see what Alexis, the coach at Shoot Fighters, has to say about this. I want to see what Dillon has to say about this, and obviously Mams will tell us what he thinks as well. But all in all, I'm stunned, but I know it's going to be a massive event. There's going to be a lot of eyes on it, and it's going to be super intriguing. KSI versus Dillon Danis. Let's go.